everybody, this is Brian.
And I'm Logan, and this is Tops.
Top. Wow, I'm close.
And this is Bottoms.
It's Top. Wow, we're really close. Wow, okay.
And this is Triple. Top. Avocados.
Vampires. Garlic. Oh no, that's Dad's favorite thing to cook with. These guys are messed up.
And we're Crush Cards. Hi, team. Happy Thursday, my vivacious vampires. The time has come. Y'all have been asking for vampires for a hot minute. And guess what? This is the perfect time because it's Boogie-O, baby.
Boo. Wow, it's Boogie-O time, guys. In case you didn't know, that's the season where we get into all this spooky content for all of you guys. So make sure you check out Boogie-O. All this stuff is going to be linked up here in the corner. There it is. Okay, did you get it? Okay, here we go. So a lot of you guys have been requesting vampires, and Boogie-O is obviously the best time to do this. Trying to be super transparent though, this is not a competitive deck whatsoever. This is a very, very slow, very casual tier 14 deck. Like it's really fun. It's definitely a zombie deck. I don't think there's a way to make this like pure vampires, but the good news is this is a very, very budget-friendly deck minus a few cards, which we will provide alternatives for once we get there.
But before we get into the profile, really quick, just want to mention that the 15-hour 20K stream is this Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be streaming here on YouTube for 15 hours. Yeah, you heard us. There's going to be multiple tournaments with tons of prize support, like, I don't know, OTS packs. We're going to be doing raffles and giveaways. We're going to be giving away sealed booster boxes provided by our product sponsor, Big 3 Deals. Make sure you place your case orders, pre-orders, booster box orders for Phantom Rage, Blazing Vortex, Genesis Impact, you name it. It's all there. Feel free to use the code CrushCards10 because we have one, and you can get some of the lowest competitive market deals ever. And we're going to be giving away a whole bunch of stuff. We've got sponsored Dragon Shield products we're going to be giving away. Join us for the stream. It's going to be a really fun time, and we just want to hang out with you guys for 15 hours and celebrate how far we've come and give stuff to you because you deserve it.
So before we get into this deck, if you guys are not already a subscriber, feel free to go down, hit that subscribe button, throw this video a like, and comment your favorite thing to cook with garlic to keep these vampires away.
We also have an Instagram. It's at CrushCardsYGO. We're on there all the time, posting posts, answering messages, posting stories. Come say hi. We love seeing you. We also have a super wholesome Discord community. We're on there all the time. You might also need to be in there for the 15-hour stream, so if you want to participate in tournaments, feel free to go check out the Discord. Links in the description box down below. And then last but not least, if you want to further support the channel, we have a Patreon. We do bloopers at the end of every month, which are coming next week. They're super spooky and super fun, so feel free to check them out. We have side decks, we have merch, we have all the good stuff, but if not, that's okay. We're just happy you're here. I hope you're not coughing because this deck's great.
Oh my god. Alright, let's get into the profile.
Get it? Because they're vampires, Dad.
Wow.
I'll just go.
Bye, buddy. So starting off for our vampire starters, we are opting to play double copies of the Vampire Retainer and then double copies of Vampire Familiar. These cards realistically kind of have the same effect because when they are special summoned, both of which are searchers. Vampire Familiar, you can pay 500 life points if this card is special summoned and then add from your deck to your hand any vampire monster. And then Retainer is the same thing. If it's special summoned, you pay 500 and then you search any vampire, spell, or trap card directly from your deck to your hand. And then they both have the secondary effect where if this card is in your graveyard, you can send one vampire card from your hand to your graveyard and then special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So they kind of recur themselves. They're normal summonable. They're really, really good, and they just help get your engine going. And then speaking of engine, obviously it wouldn't be a zombie deck without the best zombie starter card in the entire game. Triple copies of Unizombie. Unizombie allows you to discard any card in your hand and then increase a monster's level on the field by 1, and then the same thing, you can increase a monster's level by 1 and send any zombie monster from your deck to your graveyard. This card is a tuner. It's a dark monster, and it just helps get your engine going by sending any piece that you would be missing directly from your deck or hand to the graveyard. And then to round out our starters, we are playing double copies of Gozuki. The reason we're not playing Shiranui Solitaire in this build is because there's not really a lot of like tuners with 0 defense minus Unizombie and Bloom. And Gozuki is not only a starter, but it is an extender because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish any other zombie monster in your graveyard and then special summon a zombie from your hand. This is a pure zombie deck, so you are always going to have zombie monsters in your hand. This card, once again, just allows you to Foolish Burial any zombie monster from your deck to your graveyard, and it's an extender. So this card, too, is really, really strong.
Things you never thought you'd hear in a zombie deck. Next up, we're playing two disgusting common Mizukis.
Yeah, we didn't want to break any of the other zombie decks apart. These are actually just like excess copies of all the zombie cards that we've had. Being a zombie guy myself, we have like 15 copies of all the zombie cards, but we don't have more than 2 sets of Kalo Mizukis, so...
I'm sorry if I offended any common people.
Yeah, we're not common people here, though.
It sounds bad no matter how I say it.
We're Pago people. Damn.
Commons are fine. I'm just kidding, guys.
But Mizuki is a not hard once per turn monster reborn. Just banish him and then special summon any zombie monster from your graveyard back to your side of the field. You can play Mizuki at 3, but like this deck has a lot of like graveyard recursion without Mizuki already, so I feel like 2 is totally fine.
Hey, best girl. How you doing, best girl? It's Banshee, best girl.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows what Banshee does. Quick effect in the graveyard or on field, banish herself, and then you just activate Zombie World directly from the deck. It's really, really good. This card's insane.
She's also best girl, in case, you didn't hear that. Wow. I love her.
And then we were playing double copies of Glow Up Bloom. I know, that's kind of weird, right? We usually play one in every deck that I think we've ever showcased on the channel.
Well.
But this deck, as you'll see in the next roster, plays a lot of level 5 or higher zombie monsters, and Glow Up Bloom actually has a really, really relevant effect, especially in this deck, because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then add 1 level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand, or if Zombie World is face up on the field, you just special summon that monster directly from your deck. So this gets you access to like, what, 6 cards? It's ridiculous. This card is insane. The only stipulation to this card is that once that effect resolves, you can't special summon monsters except zombie monsters for the duration of the turn, but minus 1 card in the entire deck and extra deck, everything is a zombie monster. So that effect really doesn't matter in this deck. And then for our boss monsters, there is a huge whopping lineup. We have the 1 copy of Doom King, the 1 Jack-o'-Bolin, the 1 Vampire Frowlin. I mean, it's a vampire deck, right? We have the 1 copy of Vampire Red Baron, the 1 Vampire Vamp, and then of course, the big boss himself, Vampire Scarlet Scourge. Everyone knows what Doom King does. It's an interruption that special summons itself from the graveyard as long as there's a face-up field spell. It's a negate and a banish. Jack-o'-Bolin's really good because you can discard 1 zombie monster and then special summon this card from your hand. And then it's a quick effect to target a zombie monster in either player's graveyard and then special summon that target but banish it when it leaves the field. Vampire Fraulein on attack declaration for your zombie monsters. She can special summon herself and then you pay multiples of life points in increments of 100 to increase their attack. Vampire Red Baron is actually really, really cool in this deck because once per turn you can pay 1,000 life points and then target 1 of your opponent's monsters that they control and then 1 vampire monster you control, switch control of them, and then at the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed any monster by battle, you can special summon them from your graveyard. So what's cool is you can actually activate this guy to switch 1 of your opponent's monsters and like 1 of the small familiar monsters, attack over the familiar monster, and then take your opponent's monster to attack with them, and then of course at the end you get to special summon back your familiar and get their effect, which is really, really cool. And then Vampire Vamp is personally my favorite in this deck. Once per turn, when this card or any vampire monster is normal summoned to your field, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls whose attack is higher than this card and then equip it. This just steals your opponent's monster, and then this card gains the attack equal to the combined original attack of that monster equipped to it by this effect. And then what's really cool, what I love about this card the most, is if this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped within a card, by this card effect, you can special summon this card. So it just recurs itself. It's really, really strong. And then Vampire Scarlet Scourge, if this card is normal or special summon, you can pay 1,000 life points, then target 1 vampire monster in your graveyard, accept itself, and then special summon it, but it can't attack this turn. And then just as Red Baron, if this card destroys any monster by battle, at the end of the battle phase, you can special summon it from your graveyard. So really, really cool. It helps you take some of your opponent's stuff, helps you beat over some of your opponent's stuff. This one's like a walking monster reborn. This one is a walking mind control, and this is a walking creature swap.
I don't know much about this Scarlet Scourge guy, but I'd let him resurrect me from the grave anyway.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Mom, I'm scared. He's just kind of cute. Okay. That's it. That's all I got. That was my contribution. And then there was 1 Dark Grepher.
I understand he's a warrior, but like, tell me he doesn't look like a zombie to you, right? He is literally like your honorary zombie monster, especially in this deck, because Dark Grepher has the effect where you can special summon this card from your hand by discarding a level 5 or higher dark monster. As you just saw, we play 5 of them. Jack-o'-Bolin doesn't count because he's fire. I don't know why Konami hated us and made him a fire monster, but it is what it is. And then you can also discard any dark monster to send a dark monster from your deck to your graveyard. Super duper awesome. This card is just amazing pluses in this deck, so it's really worth the 1 copy.
And then because we're playing Needle Fiber in the extra deck, I'm just kidding. We're not playing Needle Fiber. We're not playing Needle Fiber. I'm just kidding. It's just funny because she's a tuner. Get it? We're playing 3 Ash Blossom because she's a hand trap. She's a zombie. This is a zombie deck.
Yeah. In the current metagame right now, Ash is honestly probably one of the worst hand traps, but for a casual little rogue deck, Ash is totally fine. This card is really good, and it triggers Doom King really, really strong.
And then for the best field spell in the game, we're playing Triple Zombie World, obviously.
Oh, Zombie World. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, Zombie World. It's not Mystic Mine. Zombie World makes all monsters on the field and in both players' graveyards zombie type, and neither player contributes summon monsters except zombies. Like, you play this card because it's a zombie deck, right? Like, you're trying to control the state of the game. The Zombie World helps you do that. And then remember in the beginning of the video, we talked about a card that's not really super budget. This deck doesn't need its extra deck. So for draw power, we are playing triple copies of Pot of Extravagance. If you do not have access to this card, even though it's been reprinted multiple times now, Allure of Darkness is more than okay. The entire deck, minus a few cards here and there, is dark. Pot of Extravagance just allows you to not really have to banish anything, which is why it has the price point in which it does. We don't really need our extra deck all that much. This is more like a control variant of the deck. So Pot of Extravagance is just really, really strong in this variant.
And some of the two best one-ofs in the entire game, Monster Reborn and Foolish Burial. Obviously, just a great card to extend. Also, your deck is grave reliant.
Yeah, it's really, really strong. These two cards are just super great in the deck. And then rounding out for our spells, we have our 3 copies of our vampire spells and traps. We're playing the 1 copy of Vampire's Domain.
I'm sorry, I'm just interjecting again. I just wanted to say I think the vampire cards all look really beautiful and are super well designed. Like, I think this is one of the coolest looking cards. Like, this looks BA as hell. And not BA as in the deck BA, I mean like the acronym for...
Burning Abyss.
No, but okay. Also, look at my guy.
He's becoming a bat. Vampire's Domain is really cool because once per turn you can pay 500 life points, and then during your main phase you can normal summon 1 vampire monster in addition to your normal summon, even if this card leaves the field, which is like super freaking strong. And then each time your vampire monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you gain that amount of life points. So this vampire deck kind of pays a lot of life points when it comes to like cost activation.
Because it sucks the life out of you, get it? Funny jokes.
And we're playing double copies of Vampire's Desire because you can activate 1 effect per turn. The first being you can target 1 face-up monster you control and then send 1 vampire monster from your deck to your graveyard with a different level than the monster that you targeted. And then the monster on the field becomes the targeted monster. And then if you do, the targeted monster becomes the level of the sent monster in the graveyard until the end of the turn. So not only does this allow you to get some level modulation for some of your synchro plays, but it also allows you to get some of your vampires in your graveyard. Or the second effect is you can target 1 vampire monster in your graveyard, send 1 monster you control to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon that targeted monster. So this has a lot of really good synergy. If you have to like normal summon a Banshee or normal summon a Mizuki or a Gozuki or anything like that, you can activate this, get rid of that card on the field to bring a vampire back, and then get the graveyard effect of all those cards that you just sent to the graveyard. So really, really strong. That's why we played this card at 2. You only need to play these cards at these low ratios in my personal opinion because they are all relatively searchable throughout the entire deck. And then this is the card that I honestly wish was searchable for every zombie deck, but it's not. But this is our in-archetype counter trap. This card is ridiculous because when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a vampire monster, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card. Then, if it was a monster card, you gain life points equal to the original attack of the card destroyed. This card is really good. This is like our in-archetype, just like Judgment. It's insane. And if it's a monster that you negate, you gain life points. It's really, really freaking good. And once again, it's a spell trap that has the word vampire in it, so it's searchable.
Also, it's really cute. I've never really looked at it until just now, but it's got the familiar and the retainers on it. Like, look at the puppies. Look at the puppies and look at the bats. I just love it. I love the design of these cards. I love that they're secret rares. Man, that's so cool.
They're super cheap, too.
Super cute.
And then lastly,
They're playing Rivalry. You know, it's basically zombie control at this point.
yeah, it is. It's just like a little vampire engine. But this is actually, I honestly feel like this is kind of a more interesting version of the deck. Rivalry, for anyone who doesn't know, when Zombie World is face up on the field, it makes all of your opponent's monsters on the field and in the graveyard zombie type. And if they're not already playing a zombie-oriented deck and they have a monster on board, they can't even summon anything because Rivalry in Zombie World creates one of the most broken locks in the entire game. So this card at 3, it's not searchable, but we do have some really cool draw power in the deck. So turn 1, this is a really, really good card to see. And then moving off to our extra deck, we're playing triple copies of Vampire Sucker. This is just like our in-archetype Link 2. I know that zombies have this card and use this card all the time, but it's actually a vampire card. This card has such utility in the deck, which is why we played it 3, because we are on an extravagance package. But the main reason that this card is good in every zombie deck is because if a monster is special summoned from the graveyard and it's a zombie type, you get to draw 1 card. That's either player's turn, that's either player's monster. It's really, really strong. And then the other effect kind of triggers that, where you could target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your opponent's field, but it becomes a zombie monster. But like Zombie World is up 85 to 90% of the time, therefore it's always going to be a zombie regardless. And then the really cool effect is if you were to tribute summon a monster for a tribute of a zombie monster, you can tribute monsters your opponent controls even though you do not control them. Ooh. This card is so powerful in this deck because all of our vampire like boss monsters are level 5 or or higher. So even if we can't bloom them out, we can just normal summon them, get their effects by tributing our opponent's stuff. Vampire Sucker is one of the key and crucial parts in this deck. And then we're playing double copies of Avenged Savior. You don't really need to play this card at any more than 2. It's really just utility. The reason that we play this card is because during the damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can send one zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and then your opponent's monster loses attack equal to the level of that monster sent to the graveyard by 200. Once again, you're trying to send a bunch of your bigger vampire monsters to get them in the graveyard so you can bring them back with some of your other effects. You'll do a ton of damage. It's in the damage step, so it's really kind of hard to stop, and it's just really good utility. And then for more utility, as we said, this is a zombie control deck, so we are playing double copies of Shiranui Skill Saga Supremacy. This card is actually really cool. It's 2+ zombie monsters. It's a link 3, and this card reads that synchro summon monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effect. That's really good because the next couple cards minus the next link 4 is all synchro monsters. And then fire monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle, and then during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target one of your banished zombie synchro monsters and special summon it to a zone that this card points to. So this just allows you interruption, it'll trigger your Doom King, you can get some of your resources back, and it just provides you additional protection. This card is really powerful. And then we are playing the 1 copy of our in archetype link 4. It's not a vampire card, but Yuki Oni the Absolute Zero Mayakashi is a link 4 with 2 zombie monsters, so it can be a link 3 and just any monster, or 2 link 2s, or however you want to make this. It's just super duper generic. You get to negate the activation of all card effects that activate in your opponent's banished monster zone. So like if Thunder Dragons were relevant again, I guess. And then if a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, or a monster effect is activated in the graveyard, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and change its attack to 0, and if you do, negate its effects. You can use this effect twice per turn. So this is a double negate, and Doom King activates by himself to special summon himself. So like this card is absolutely insane. This card is really freaking strong. If we had more room in the extra deck, we would play this at 2. And then once again, on the extravagance package, so we are playing double copies of our Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon, double copies of our Shiranui Squire Saga, and then the 1 copy of our Shiranui Sun Saga. Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon is just a really big beater. It kind of replaces Boral Sword. As we said, we were trying to be really budget friendly for this deck minus the extravs. But this card gains 100 attack and defense for each zombie monster in both players' graveyards. And then it has the same effect as all the other vampire monsters. When a zombie monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon 1 zombie monster from either player's graveyard. So as long as you attack over something, you can just get to special summon anything from your opponent's graveyard. And then Shiranui Squire Saga is probably honestly like one of my favorite zombie synchro monsters, because you basically get to banish itself, and then all of your zombie monsters that you control gain 300 attack. You get to destroy 1 spell and trap on the field, and you get to destroy 1 monster on the field. It's freaking insane. And then Shiranui Sun Saga, this card is special summoned. You can return any number of zombie synchro monsters that are banished or in your graveyard to the extra deck, and then destroy cards on your opponent's field equal to the number that were returned. So like super strong. It allows you to recur some of your resources, and it's super huge. And then lastly,
we're playing 2 of the Vampire Sheridan.
He's 2 level 6s, but it's really cool because obviously all of your vampires take your opponent's monsters when they destroy them. So if you use monsters with a level that is owned by your opponent for an Xyz summon, their level becomes 6. So you literally just need 1 of your own and then 1 of theirs, because it becomes 6 once you take it. And then once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 card your opponent controls, send it to the graveyard. Non-destruction. It does target, but it sends, which is really cool. And then once per turn, if a monster is sent from the field to the graveyard by a card effect, so it triggers itself, or a monster is destroyed by battle and sent to your opponent's graveyard, you can detach 1 material from this card and then special summon 1 of those cards to your field in defense position. So same thing as all the other vampires. If it's beaten over by battle, or if it activates its own effect and resolves it, you just get to take 1 of your opponent's cards.
God, all these cards are a mouthful, but wow, that's the deck. Let's do a test hand and see what happens.
So as we say with all of our test hands, it's kind of difficult to showcase what decks like these can do, because A, they're really slow, and then B, it's kind of a control deck, so you really need to like rely on your opponent. This deck has a lot of battle tricks, so you kind of need a couple turns, but we will just showcase a test hand to see what it can do in the first turn or 2. So that being said, Pony, you want to cut? Alright, Pony, have fun.
I'm a vampire pony. Roar.
Alright, we're going to try to go first, and we'll see. That's a good card to see. Oh, wow, awesome. Ash, also a really good card. A Vampire Retainer, a Reborn, and we'll see. Oh, Unizombie's a great card to see.
Sick.
Alright, well, obviously it's our main phase. We're going to activate our Pot of Extravagance. We're just going to spuffaluffagus here. Opponent, you want to cut these for me?
I would love
Shuffle,
to.
maybe banish 6 cards.
Oh, sure.
Because I'm drawing 2, Missy.
Yeah.
Wow, look at those cool cards.
I have no interruption.
So we lost. Zombie Necro. Look at that. We literally don't care about this Link 3, so it's cool that we banished it. Woo! Draw 2 because it's free. A 1. Oh, Cheapers Creepers. And a 2. Well, that's unfortunate.
2 Zombie World for you, bud.
Okay, so we're going to activate our Zombie World. Woo! Look at that. What a great card.
Wow.
And now we can just normal summon our Unizombie, activate Unizombie's effect to discard our Vampire Retainer. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any other Vampire cards in our graveyard to trigger the Vampire Retainer, but we did open up the Monster Reborn, which is cool. And if we did want to actually trigger the Vampire Retainer's effect without the Reborn, we could just activate Unizombie to send Mizuki, banish Mizuki, grab it back, get our cards, and continue to play for free from there. But what we will do, because we did get really lucky and we opened Reborn, we'll activate the Reborn, and then we can special summon back our Vampire Retainer, and then because our Vampire Retainer was special summoned, we can activate its effect, paying 500. We'll search our Vampire Domination because it's our searchable counter trap and is really strong in this deck. So we can activate the Unizombie now and send from our deck to our grave, which will be our Glow Up Bloom. Now our Glow Up Bloom will activate, it will banish itself, special summoning our Doom King directly from our deck, and now we can just link summon here into our Vampire Sucker. We'll set our Vampire Domination, and then that's it. I mean, once again, kind of a slow deck, but it's really cool. It's got that little control aspect. In our opponent's standby phase, Doom King will activate, special summoning itself, which will trigger Sucker to draw us a card, and then we do have a counter trap. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, technically 5 forms of interruption off of this opening hand. So it's realistically just like a different version of zombie control, but Vampire's Domination is really strong because we do control a vampire monster. Therefore, this is an Omni negate for anything, and if it's a monster, we get to gain life points. Plus, the Ash can trigger the Doom King.
In Zombie World's a floodgate of its own, honestly.
And in like a casual setting, this could be a really, really difficult board for your opponent to get over. Retainer was banished, by the way.
But yeah, this is one of the first decks that Brian built when we first started playing the game, so it's really nostalgic for us. It's, again, not the most competitive thing in the world at all whatsoever, but it's a really fun deck for those of you who just want to have like a fun little zombie deck to play. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it, and let us know in the comments below what you think or what you're playing in your vampire deck or your zombie deck or any deck you're playing. Tell me, I want to know. And don't forget to join us at the 15-hour stream on Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a really good time, and I want you to win a whole bunch of cool stuff. But we love you, you matter, and we will see you guys Saturday for a really, really fun opening. Woo! Spoiler, this man might be in it. Woo! Scary, scary. I'm